Do you know what time it is? I think everybody does as well. Hello and welcome here to my Premier League predictions of 2024-25. And do you know what? It has been absolutely ages since I actually, posted a video on my YouTube channel. Yes, I know, sorry for that. But we are back. We are back because it is the start of the Premier League season. We are back and we will be covering a lot more things this year than we did last year. So that's what we are going to do. We're going to show more stuff this year than we are doing last year based on the video content. So there will be match vlogs, there will be match reviews, all coming your way. But for the time being, let's talk about Premier League predictions. Obviously, you know that I did it last year. Last year, it went okay, reasonably well. This year, I want to get even better. I want to have a better end to my Premier League predictions, and I want a good start to it to say, do you know what? Let's go out with a bang. This Premier League season is going to be better than ever. Let's hope it will be anyway in that case. But rightio then, let's get straight underway. And first of all, let me tell you who I have placed in the dreaded 20th place. Or in other words, last place. So let's start there in last position. And I have gone for Southampton to be in the dreaded last place. I just think there with Southampton, the squad they had 2 years ago was a far better team and a far better squad than they have now. I just think overall the midfield, James Ward-Prowse was a prominent part in their midfield of Southampton. Even when they went down, he was a prominent star there for Southampton. Last year, we obviously know that he left Southampton to join West Ham, which turned out to be a good move for him, and turned out to be a good move for Southampton, because overall they got promoted. However, going back into the Premier League, it is not good. I mean, the players that you'll have is a mix of Carlos Alcaraz, not the tennis player, the football player, Adam Lallana and Joe Aribo. They will have to be, the three midfielders that will, have to play a part in how well Southampton play. Will Smallbone and all, he is a good player. Flynn Downs too. I just think overall their midfield isn't as stacked as it once were when they were in the Premier League. Forward line, I suppose Sekou Mara's good. Adam Armstrong's good. Ben Bertrand Diaz is good. We obviously know how well he can play in England. But I just think there's going to be something very, very strange, I think, with Southampton. I think, first of all, I don't rate Russell Martin. He's a good manager, but he's never managed in the Premier League. I mean, Russell Martin managed QPR before he went to manage Southampton. And he did well at Southampton. He's done well because he's gotten promoted. I just think this is going to be a different Southampton side. And I don't think Southampton will overall cope well. Key players leaving and no real squad depth. That is what I think. Southampton have had a lot of departures, including the likes of Duya Kaleta-Kar, Lianco, Che Adams. Che Adams was a prominent player, but then he went to Torino on a free. So, because of that, there's a lot of players who have gone. Southampton have done good buying players, but they still haven't done good, really, with the selling players. And I think that will be one big issue there for Southampton. Therefore, because of that, I'm going to play Southampton in last place. Now in 19th place, we are going to go for the former Premier League winners of Leicester City in 19th place. And the pure reason why I have is I don't think Steve Cooper was the wrong appointment for Leicester, in my opinion. Steve Cooper is a very good manager, and I know he's a good manager, but for Leicester, the season before they got relegated, they were playing European football. Leicester City was playing European football. They played the likes of Roma, Legia Warsaw, Napoli. They played in that year. They played in that season before the season after they got relegated. So that is very well, not great to be fair there for Leicester, the fact that they got relegated. I think Enzo Maresca would have been a good manager if they would have kept him. However, he left to join Chelsea. They didn't really have much to do. So, because of that, they hired Steve Cooper. And, like I said before, there's no me doubting Steve Cooper. I just think Steve Cooper in a Leicester City team doesn't particularly fit. If he fits in I think he would fit in a team like an Everton, or I don't know, a team like that, but not Leicester. Leicester want... The main aim of Leicester is they want to be mid-table, and I don't think they will get that. I think they will struggle in this year's Premier League. Therefore, I am saying the 19th. They've still got, obviously, Jamie Vardy. They've still got the likes of, well, Hamza Chowdhury, Wilfred Ndidi. It's mad to think Wilfred Ndidi's still 27, but he is. He's 27-year-old Wilfred Ndidi. But I just think that squad isn't going to be great. And I think the gap between the Championship and the Premier League will be bigger than before. And I think the players that they have will be potentially late Premier League players, early Championship players-esque. So, or it will be bottom Premier League, top Championship level. That's why I'm saying Leicester City will be 19th. And I do think Steve Cooper will be one of the first managers to end up getting the P45 this season. Now in 18th, let's go for a very controversial decision with saying Everton will be in the relegation zone. Everton have been really, really lucky. And it reminds me a lot of Hamburg, how they were always in the Bundesliga, even when they weren't playing great, until a point, and then they went relegated. They got down then, and ever since then they haven't been able to come back up into the Bundesliga. I think that will be similar to Everton, how Hamburg had that, well, they were very lucky to stay in the Premier League, but then their burst will go, their bubble will pop. And I think it will be similar to Everton. I think the squad isn't good. The Everton squad isn't good. One injury, I think, for Everton, and they are knackered. They've signed good players. They've signed like Jesper Lundstrom there of Frankfurt. But are they capable of playing in the Premier League? Is their squad capable of being a Premier League side? Personally, I don't think so. I don't think so. The midfield, they haven't really replaced Amadou Onana, and I think he is a big loss there for Everton, a massive loss, Amadou Onana, because he was a key part in their team. They've got rid of him, and they haven't really replaced him. They've still got Idrissa Gueye, James Garner. James Garner might be the one who could be playing in that centre defensive role where Amadou Onana once played, but that is a massive decline. That is a massive decline, in my opinion. The defence will still be a good defence. It's a Sean Dyche team, what do you expect? But the midfield is where games are won and lost. And I think if teams override their midfield, if they go and press and they go through their midfield like it's a slice of toast, when you butter in a slice, I don't think Everton will do well. I do not think they'll do well. Therefore, I think they will be relegated. I don't want that because I think Sean Dyche is the Premier League manager. But I think the squad depth isn't good enough. If injuries happen, Everton will not bode well. Going the fact they don't really have much of a midfield, that is why I think Everton will end up being like Haasval, where they stay in the league for a long time, never been relegated, and then this will be the year that they will sadly demise and go down to the Championship. And the one team I think will stay in the Premier League after getting promoted will be Ipswich Town. And I do think Ipswich will do very well this year. I don't think they'll be like what I predicted Burnley would be last year. Burnley ended up getting relegated, but I predicted Burnley to have a really good season and finish 13th. I don't think it'll be like that. I do think, though, with Ipswich, they have got the right man. Kieran McKenna will cook with this Ipswich side in the Premier League. I mean, Manchester United, during the COVID season, we were fantastic. Manchester United, I know I'm saying we because I'm a Manchester United fan, but Manchester United were absolutely fantastic that year. It was a shame we finished second. We could have gone on and won the league that year. That is my opinion. If we didn't bottle it against stupid results like losing to Sheffield United, drawing to West Brom, drawing to Crystal Palace, then I think we could have had a chance to potentially challenge for City for the league title that year. But that obviously didn't went the other way. And that was the year which pretty much finished Ollie. Because then they were in that final, weren't they? That Europa League final against Villarreal. We lost that. And then all the cracks started to show. And, well, we did not have a good season. Ollie was sacked. McKenna was sacked. And, yeah, that's pretty much what happened ever since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer left. But that, for me, says that Manchester United played good football that year with very good passing flow and ability. And that was with Kieran McKenna being our assistant. Now, Kieran McKenna's philosophies was there at Manchester United that year. He has brought them philosophies to Ipswich. And last year was a very good year. How they got promoted from League One to the Championship, and they ended up getting promoted to the Championship from the Championship to the Premier League. That is very good. And I think a key player there is because of Omari Hutchinson. He was fantastic for Ipswich in the Championship. He was a key player there for Ipswich Town. And the other signings that we'll be making, I've heard Calvin Phillips is linked with Ipswich. Liam Delap, he will show. This will be his first proper season in the Premier League after getting loaned out there from Manchester City and all that. They will start to have a very good team. And I think this team will be very similar to the Luton team that we saw last year. How they played entertaining football, even if they got relegated, teams liked them. And I think teams will start to like with Ipswich Town. And I think Ipswich will do one better than Luton Town. So that I'm going to say Ipswich will stay in the Premier League for next season. You hear it first, 17th place goes to Ipswich. So let's move to 16th place, where I'm going to put Nottingham Forest there in 16th place. Purely because Nottingham Forest now have a better squad depth than Everton and Ipswich. I don't think I think Sean Dyche is better than Nuno Espirito Santo. However, look what Nuno did with Wolves. He made Wolves a threat with that side. With that side he had Nuno, he made Wolverhampton Wanderers a threat, and that was when they got European football. Should have got 2 European football seasons if Arsenal didn't win the FA Cup. That would have been a second consecutive European season there for Wolves, but they didn't have that. And Nuno, he is a very good manager. He's a good manager. The spell, obviously, at Al Ittihad that he had didn't quite work as he wanted it to do. However, like I said, him at Wolverhampton Wanderers was absolutely fantastic. Now, at Nottingham Forest, he has had a struggle, because Nottingham Forest's fans' expectations are bigger than how are they performing. Forest would like to be a mid-table club, I would say, like a 12th, an 11th, a 13th place type of club. But instead they're not. Instead they are a relegation-threatened team. I don't think that will worry him this year. I think they will stay up. I think they will stay up quite comfortably, Nottingham Forest. I think they've got the players that they need to stay up. Now, I compared Everton and Forest to see what they have in squad depth. And I realised Nottingham Forest's midfield is far better than Everton's. They've got the likes of Ibrahim Sangare, Morgan Gibbs-White, Nicolas Dominguez, Elliot Anderson there from Newcastle. They have good players. And they have also signed Nikola Milenkovic, who is a good player. And I believe he can also play in the midfield if needs be. So they've signed very good Nottingham Forest on that department. And I think with that team, they should be good enough to stay up in the Premier League. They should be. I mean, the football I don't think will be great. That's why I said the football won't be entertaining. I think the football will be pretty dull. That's Nuno ball. However, he gets you results. He gets you results. Nottingham Forest got results when they needed to get results. Like when they beat Newcastle at St James's Park. They beat Manchester United. They beat West Ham. They beat Fulham. They beat Burnley on the last day, even though it didn't really matter. But then that shows that they can win games when they have to. And I think Nottingham Forest will do that, but I think they'll do that a little bit better this year than they did the past other seasons. That's why I think Nottingham Forest will finish in 16th, and they will end up having their best points total since, well, when they were the established Premier League team in 1999. So in 15th, I'm going to put Fulham in 15th, purely because I think the loss of João Palhinha will be massive. João Palhinha was their key player. He was a key player in Marco Silva's Fulham squad. However, Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich thought, you know what, we're going to get him. And they did get him. They wanted him last season. Fulham said no. This year, he is a Fulham player. And I know I said Fulham would do not great last year because Mitrovic did go. This year, I'm saying Fulham will not do as great because João Palhinha will go. But Fulham are a team that can find ways. However, even if they get rid of the key players, they always find a way to, well, do a little bit better. That's what they can tend to do, Fulham. And I think they bought a brilliant player off Emil Smith-Rowe off Arsenal. Emil Smith-Rowe wanted to leave. Arteta didn't want him there. He wasn't in Arsenal's projects. So I think the move for him is a fantastic one. And I think it's similar to Manchester United with Andreas Pereira. When they bought in Fulham, he is becoming a good player for them. I think Smith-Rowe will do the exact same thing. And I think a attacking midfield of Smith-Rowe and Pereira, that will be two very good midfielders and very good attacking ones in specific that Fulham will have. Therefore, I'm going to place them with 43 points and in 15th place. They'll have a good season, even though this doesn't show it. 14th, let's stick it out with Brentford, shall we? Let's go for Brentford in 14th. Brentford will have a far better season than they did last year. Last season they finished 16th, and not a lot of people will think Brentford actually finished 16th because they actually had they were a team that nobody looked at them last year. No one really looked at them. I mean, when they finished 16th, Brentford finished 9th the following year, so that was a little bit strange them finishing 16th. Saying that though, they didn't have Ivan Toney until December. And I think with Ivan Toney being back, that will be one huge boost that Thomas Frank will have in his team. Ivan Toney and Fabio Carvalho will be two good players for Brentford. They will be the best players. Alongside Mikkel Damsgaard and alongside Ben Mee, they have a good team, Brentford, to be a better team than I'm putting them in 14th. I just think all the other teams will do probably a bit better than them. I think all the other teams will do a little bit better than them. However, I don't think Brentford will have a bad season. I think they will finish mid-table in 14th. And like I said there at the second point, I think Thomas Frank will turn this team right round from where they were last season. Therefore, give me 14th place for Brentford. 13th, we are going to go there with Wolverhampton Wanderers. They will finish 13th in my opinion. I think Cunha and Hwang will be a great duo there for Wolves. I think Gary O'Neill will know what to do with them two players in specific. Pedro in specific of them. However, Pedro Neto will be a bad loss, but not a team-defining loss. Obviously, when a player leaves, it could affect a team. And I've said that with a many team. I thought Crystal Palace, when they lost Wilfried Zaha, would not do good. However, this Wolves team, I think, will just be okay. I think they will have a mid-table place. They will finish 13th, but I think they will just be fine. They will be like Wolves, a team that is very hard to play when you are top 16. When you are top 16, Wolverhampton Wanderers is one of them that anything can happen. Anything can happen when you play Wolves. I mean, even Manchester City lose to Wolves a lot of the time. So that shows Wolves are a very unpredictable side. They're a side that, could show up one week and then be bad the next. They are the rugby league definition of Salford Red Devils, in other words, Wolverhampton Wanderers. They are a very unpredictable side. And I think the unpredictableness will obviously be in Wolves. However, they will finish 13th. They will be fine there in 13th place. Gary O'Neill will guide them to a mid-table finish, in my opinion, of 13th. In 12th place, gimme Bournemouth. Gimme AFC Bournemouth. I think they will finish in 12th place. And obviously last year I predicted Bournemouth to be relegated. That was a very bad prediction of me. And I did also predict Wolverhampton Wanderers would finish 17th. Now this year, I'm going to predict them two sides in the exact same scenario, them between each other. However, I'm going Bournemouth ahead of Wolves for this one. And I think just because Bournemouth, I think they've got a better team. I think Bournemouth have better players than Wolverhampton Wanderers do. You could see last year, under Andoni Iraola, they were a force to be reckoned with, Bournemouth. They were a side that was a very hard team to break down. Obviously, the famous result against Manchester United will forever live in AFC Bournemouth's long-living history. But for Bournemouth, I think they will do one better, and I do think they will break their Premier League points record for a second season. Last year they did get 48, this year I think they'll get 49. I think they will get only one better, and that is without their star man of Dominic Solanke. Because I do think Antoine Semenyo, he will be up to for the task. He will be up to the task there. He can be a very clinical player for Bournemouth, and it was shown last season. And I think if he can replicate that form now, knowing that he is the main striker there for Bournemouth, everything will be just fine for Andoni Iraola. Therefore, I'm going to say Bournemouth will finish in 12th place. Mid-table finish, but for Bournemouth fans, it will be another happy one indeed. I don't think a lot of Brighton fans will like me with this one. I don't think a lot of Brighton fans will like me in this one. And the reason I think they will finish 11th is because it is a rebuilding season for Brighton. Obviously, getting rid of Roberto De Zerbi, he wanted to leave. I thought that Brighton side under him were a very, very good team. And obviously him leaving would mean major differences there for Brighton and Tony Bloom. However, I think the appointment of Fabian Hürzeler is a very interesting one, but I think it will be one that will work. Obviously, under him and Sampaoli, they played very attractive football. That is why Sampaoli got promoted to the Bundesliga, because of Fabian Hürzeler and Jackson Irvine's brilliance, more or less. Jackson Irvine in that midfield, Fabian Hürzeler obviously coaching him. And he is the youngest manager in the Premier League. I think he's only like 35, 38, somewhere between that. I'm not too particularly sure. But I think Brighton will be okay. I think Brighton will be okay. He's 31, actually. Purely because of the recruitment. They have recruited excellent. They obviously bought Yankuba Minte there, the Gambian international of Newcastle, Ibrahim Osimhen there from Nordsjælland, Mats Viffer from Feyenoord, and recently Malik Yakoui from FB Göteborg. So that says a lot. They have let go of players, including Pascal Gross, Dennis Undav, and Facundo Buonanotte, but I think that will be okay. Minte can obviously play in Buonanotte's position. You've obviously got Danny Welbeck and João Pedro and Evan Ferguson there on the flanks, on the forward position, and the striker. But I just think overall, it will be a rebuilding season. This season will not be Brighton's best season, in my opinion. It will be a rebuilding season there for Fabian Hürzeler. They had a very good pre-season, but I think, like I said, rebuilding season. They will want to rebuild. They will want to be better than ever, this Brighton team. That is why I'm going to say for this season, it won't be the greatest of seasons there for Brighton, but it will be one that they will be very impressed with, especially with their football. That is why I'm going to say they will end up having 50 points and will finish in 11th. Now let's go to 10th, and I'm going to say West Ham United will finish in 10th. Purely because I think of the transfer window. They have had a fantastic transfer window, West Ham United, bringing in the likes of Nicolas Füllkrug, Jean-Claire Todibo, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They are doing stuff very well, West Ham. However, I do have a feeling it could either be make or break for them. It will either be really good, they'll either have a really good season with all their players linking up, or it will be a disastrous one and Julian Lopetegui will most likely get sacked. That is a feeling what I think it could happen. Granted, I don't think it will. It could easily happen there with West Ham. But I think they will have a very good season. And like I said, I think Lopetegui will have some tricks up his sleeve with Nicolas Füllkrug and Antonio. It doesn't surprise me if we try and go for a 4-4-2 with Füllkrug and Mikel Antonio going up front. That'll mean, obviously, you'll have Kudus and Bowen there on the other wings, joined with James Ward-Prowse, and potentially either Lucas Paqueta or Guido Rodriguez from Real Betis. Either way, though, West Ham have a very promising squad, and if they can keep that, and if they can maintain that squad depth and morale, they will be one very good side. However, I don't see them competing for the European places as of yet, so that is why I am going to say West Ham United will finish in 10th place. Now in 9th place, and one of my surprise packages there for this season, I think it will be Crystal Palace. I think they will have one really, really good season under Oliver Glasner. Glasner knows what he is doing. Palace know what they are doing. Obviously, selling Elise didn't help, but I think bringing in Ismail Issa, who we do know has had Premier League experience there with Watford, will massively benefit the Eagles yet to come. And I do think with Glasner in the helm, they have a potential to get to the European places. And I really do. Palace are a side that usually finishes 10th, 11th, mid-table. The highest position they've actually ever finished is 10th. They will break that. They will break that this season. Let me tell you this. Palace, looking at the end of the season, they had a very, very good end to the season. And to be fair, Crystal Palace are a side that, well, have a very good end to the season. They're not a great start. However, the last time Crystal Palace lost was on the 6th of April against Manchester City 4-2. Ever since then, they have won all of their games. They have a 12-match unbeaten run, Crystal Palace. And I think if they can keep that up, that will be a brilliant sign there for Oliver Glasner and a brilliant sign there for the Crystal Palace faithful. That is why I think they will have their best season in years, Crystal Palace in the Premier League, with Eze, with Ismail Assar. And why not? Why not go for a cheeky little 9th place there for Palace? Something that Crystal Palace fans will be very happy of indeed. Plus, Jean-Philippe Mateta has been an absolute sensation there in the Olympics, and at the end of the season, he will do well with Ismail Assar and Eberechi Eze, let me tell you that. 8th, we're going to go for Aston Villa, and I know Villa fans will probably actually be disappointed looking at this prediction, but I do think the Champions League will... It will tear their toll. It will take an impact, and it will take a toll there for Aston Villa. They've got a very good side either way. The Champions League money does help a lot. Signing Amadou Onana does help a lot. However, the Champions League, it will be tiring. This season will be tiring more than ever, because instead of 6 games you're playing, you're actually playing 8 games, which that, plus the Carabao Cup, plus the FA Cup, plus an already 38-game Premier League season, is going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. Aston Villa have the potential to be playing over 50 games this season, which they haven't had done before. Granted, they might have done it in the Championship, but this team is a completely different team than that in the Championship. I mean, they had Dean Smith in the Championship, now they've got Unai Emery. Unai Emery is for my opinion, he's one of the best European coaches, because he finds a way, even with the lesser teams, he always finds a way to do really good. But I think the Champions League will be a bit too much this season for Villa. I don't think they will replicate the form that they did do. However, Villa Park, as always, will still be a fortress for a lot of their away teams. It will be a ground that people will be scared to come, because I think Aston Villa have the potential to beat a lot of teams. However, they won't do as good as they will do last season. Therefore, that's why I'm saying Aston Villa will end up with 58 points and in 8th place. And in 7th place, let's give it to Newcastle. I do think Newcastle will have a good season this year, but I think the other teams will get better. I do think the other teams who have previously missed out in the top 4 will get better. Because I think Newcastle's team is capable enough to finish in the top 4. I do think that. However, Isaac and Gordon will be a deadly duo, but they will not be capable enough to get the European Champions League places. That is why I'm going to say Newcastle United will get that Europa Conference League place. But I think they will also compete for a trophy. I think barring from that Conference League place, they will also compete for a trophy, a domestic trophy in fact. Carabao Cup, they could do good on that. I think they will do well in the FA Cup and all. So that does mean the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, they want to concentrate on. I mean, the last final Newcastle United were in was against Manchester United at Wembley, where United did win 2-0. However, you could see there how much it meant to the Toon Army being at Wembley, bringing their scarves, bringing their flags. Everything was a spectacle there for Newcastle United. And if they do get another trip to Wembley, I'm sure that Toon Army will pack out that stands there at Wembley Stadium. So I do think this year has to be the year that they compete for a trophy, either the Carabao Cup, either the FA Cup, but either way, I think Newcastle United, because of competing in them 2 trophies, will, focus lesser on the league. That is why I'm saying they will finish in 7th place. Still European football though, win-win. Do you know what? 6th place, we are going to give it to Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea will get that 6th place. Similar to how they did last season, I think they will finish in 6th place. And I do think Cole Palmer will shine just as good as he has been doing. I mean, in the Euros, you could see he was a threat there for other sides for England. Obviously, in Chelsea goals last season, he was a threat under Maurizio Pochettino. Granted, Pochettino isn't the manager anymore, but either way, Enzo Maresca will be. And I do think Enzo Maresca at Chelsea will be very promising there for Chelsea fans. I do also have a bad feeling that knowing Todd Bowley, if they do not have a good start, they will sack him. And I don't think that is I think that is the wrong choice they should do. I personally think Chelsea should have kept with Pochettino because I think they were doing well then. But, they sacked him, which I think is stupid. But that's Chelsea fear, innit? That is Chelsea. But I do think Chelsea will buckle up. They will buckle up. They will have to buckle up. But they won't be like... I don't think they'll be challenging for the top 4 this year. I don't think Chelsea will be challenging for the top 4. I just think the overall the squad depth, what Chelsea have, is massive. And that can be a problem. Granted, it isn't a problem for other sides, but for Chelsea, having that much players is a problem. I saw a stat before which said Todd Bowley, since he took over as being Chelsea owner, has spent £1.13 billion on new players. Just imagine how that would feel like, right, for the other players, like the Reece James, seeing a new right-back coming every 20 seconds. He would not want that to happen. But that is Chelsea. That is what Chelsea do under Todd Bowley. And I do think that will take a toll. However, I think Enzo Maresca will be good. I think their football will be very promising. So I think this season will be a good year for Chelsea. Maybe not in the league position, but overall the style of play and the Chelsea players on show will be very good. And maybe next year they get in the top 4. Who knows? But I think Chelsea at the minute will finish in 6th place. Going safe, they're getting a Europa League place anyway. What's not to love? 5th place, I think it'll go to Ange. I think it will go to Ange Postecoglou, but they will be far, 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 far better because they do actually have a striker. They might be better. I think they will. However, Ange Ball doesn't particularly work like that with having a striker. When Ange Postecoglou were at Celtic, they didn't really have a main man to go up front to score. They did have Giacomakis, but that was really it. Solanke's a bit better there than Giacomakis, but he can actually score in the Premier League. He scored over, I think, 16, 17 goals there, maybe even 20, I'm not sure. But he did score a lot for Bournemouth last season's campaign. I think if they can do that again, if Ange Postecoglou's girls can play as well as they did, they will be very good. I do think they will just miss out on the Champions League, though. Purely because I think the other 4 sides who I am going to rank will have a better season than them. But I think Spurs will take this 5th place. Ange will be a little bit annoyed, but I think it is what it is. We'll get 1 point better than they did last season. They did end up getting 66. I think they'll get 67 this year. As I just think there with Spurs, they're good, but defence leaks goals. It's a bit like Bielsa. If you think Postecoglou's a bit like he's a bit like a better version of Marcelo Bielsa, do you get what I mean? But in the players-wise, he's a bit like Bielsa, how they play really good football, but they can concede goals very easily. Bielsa's Leeds did the exact same, and that is obviously what led to Jesse Marsch coming in, not doing great, and then them getting relegated 2 seasons ago. So that could be a concern. I'm not saying Spurs will have the exact same fate as Leeds did. However, I think if Postecoglou will leak goals, then that is an issue. So because of that, I think they will finish in 5th. The defence needs to tighten up a little bit more for me to be convinced that they'll get top 4. But I do think because of this new 5 club rule system, I think the Premier League will get in. So that means Spurs will get a Champions League place for next season. In 4th, in the Champions League places, I'm going to say my club, Manchester United, will finish in 4th place. I don't think we're good enough for 1st, 2nd or 3rd, but I think 4th will just be right there for Erik ten Hag. Granted, he did finish 3rd in his first season. I think going off last season's miserable season, As long as they get into the top 4, that is what they want. And that is what I want and all. I want Manchester United to finish in the top 4. I want us to play Champions League football. Of course I do. Obviously, more money, more players, and all that. But I think they will. I think they will finish top 4, but they won't finish third, second, or first. Obviously, the standard is they want to finish third, second, or first. I think City, Arsenal, and Liverpool are a little bit better than us at the minute. However, I think we do have. I think us and Liverpool do have capability of potentially overlapping. Liverpool could be fourth. Manchester United could be third. That could be a potential, but I am going safe. And I'm going to go United fourth. Champions League football will come back to Old Trafford. Ten Hag's United will start playing attractive and more attacking football, obviously with the likes of who we've got right now. And Højlund and Xerxes will both be stars. Xerxes hasn't played for us yet, but let me tell you, when he will play for us, he will become a far better player. He will become a far better player there for Manchester United. Rasmus Højlund, he will be a star. I think he will be one of the best strikers in the Premier League this season once he comes back from his injury. He didn't have a great start, but you could tell at the end of the season he started picking up. Obviously, when he scored that goal against Villa, he started picking up, scoring 7 goals in 5 games. So that shows you that he has the capability of being one very, very good striker, and I do think that will happen. As long as Erik ten Hag's men play nice football and can get wins and lose less games, that is all he wants. And I think that is all what Ineos want going into their first main season there at the Theatre of Dreams. That's why I'm saying Manchester United will be in 4th place, getting Champions League football. And as discussed, I think Liverpool will finish 3rd. I just think there with Liverpool, they've got a mentality that is different to us. Liverpool have a winner's mentality. That is what they've always had. Through Jurgen Klopp, they always had a winning mentality. Granted that Arne Slot is now the manager there of Liverpool, I think he will do just fine for his first season. They haven't signed any players as I am recording this, which I know for a lot of Liverpool fans is a little bit of a concern, but they will just be fine. Their attack is one of the best attacks in the league. The fact that you've got the likes of Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Darwin Núñez, Diogo Jota, they are 4 quality players. And Liverpool are in the Champions League this year, which will be a massive morale boost there for them lot. I just think they will do just fine. I think they will be alright. I think they will get in the top 4. I think they will be pretty much having a gap. Like I said, I think United get 71. They will get 76. I think they will be okay. They will get results. And I don't think they will capitulate like they did at the end of the season under Jurgen Klopp. You could see, ever since that United result at the FA Cup when it was 4-3, they was just lost. They were lost in identity. You could see that. Obviously, they lost 3-0 to Atalanta. They drew 2-2 to West Ham. They lost to Everton. That loss to Everton, for me, shown that the players kind of give up on Jurgen Klopp and knew that they could see that Jurgen Klopp's time was going to an end. I think they could see that, the players. So, with Arne Slot, it will be a different mindset, different mentality, I'm sure, but the same thing will still happen there in our football club, that they will end up getting Champions League football for next season, and they will end up getting 3rd. So then, there's only 2 teams to cover, Arsenal and Manchester City, the previous 2nd and 1st of the past 3 seasons. The past 2 seasons, potentially 3. The answer is, who do I think will win this year's Premier League? So first of all, who I think will finish runners-up of the Premier League will be Arsenal. Yeah, I think Arsenal will finish in 2nd place. I just think City have too much firepower. We're getting rid of Julian Alvarez, but City are a team that can do that. They can get rid of players, and yet they won't replace them, and they'll still win a league. That is how good City can be. But a reassurance there for Arsenal fans. I have done a prediction there for Manchester City's side that will not make Manchester City fans very happy. But I think Riccardo Calafiori and William Saliba will be the best defensive duo in the Premier League. It'll either be Calafiori or Gabriel that will be starting their centre-back for Arsenal. That is pretty simple. I do think Calafiori is better there than Gabriel. Gabriel is obviously aging, we know that. Calafiori is only young, came back of a magnificent season there where he led Bologna to the Champions League. So I think him and Saliba will be the best defensive duo. Saliba was one of the best defenders in the Euros. He's one of the best defenders in the world. Put him there with a reassuring Italian star called Riccardo Calafiori, got locks like Maldini. He will be a superstar. That is what I'm saying. And I think Arsenal will be. But similar to the past 2 seasons, I just don't think they will have enough firepower to compete with the likes of Manchester City. Mikel Arteta, he's done brilliant stuff there with Arsenal. He has made Arsenal a force to be reckoned with in the league and in Europe. I just think, overall, similar to last season, they will, struggle. They will struggle. That means my Premier League winners of 2024-25 will be, yet again, Manchester City. Yeah. Boo. Sorry. Sorry. I do think City will win the league. I just think we're a juggernaut. They're a juggernaut. However, the thing what I did say there for Arsenal fans to be happy will be the first one. I do believe Pep Guardiola will leave at the end of the season. I think if they win the league, if they win another Champions League, which will be fierce competition with the likes of Real Madrid being in it, I think that will be gone. I think that will be him leaving. And I do think that financial scandal will obviously be coming in then at the end of the season, which I think will mean bad things there for Manchester City. However, I do think Manchester City, because it's going to be Pep's last season, will go all guns blazing, and I think they will win the league. No Alvarez, no problem. Like I said about Arsenal, about City, no Alvarez, no problem. Big loss there, Alvarez sending him there to Atletico Madrid, but it will benefit Atletico more than it will City. But City aren't bothered. City aren't asked. They do not care. Their main aim is to win a league. And with the squad that they have, they will exactly do that. They will do that. The only problem I've got with City is if Haaland gets injured, who are they going to play? Because Oscar Bob is injured. Oscar Bob could have been a replacement there for Haaland. He is injured. So what are they going to do? Obviously, Cole Palmer, they had, sold him to Chelsea. Liam Delap, who they had, went to Ipswich. So they don't really have a replacement there for Haaland. So if Haaland gets injured, that could be Arsenal's time to say we are going to go and win the league. However, I don't think he will, and I don't think City will have much injuries similar to what they have. City will have an okay start, but then at the end they are a juggernaut. They will win probably 18 in the last 18 games. That is what they do, and like I said, because it's Pep Guardiola's last season, they will do it in fine style. So that is it. That is my prediction. I think the champions of the Premier League, once again, will be Manchester City. So then, just like that, what a way to start off this Premier League season. There will be a match vlog coming up soon of Manchester United versus Fulham. I am sure of that. But for the time being, I will get going. I will go. See you soon. Stay safe. I'll be talking to you lot then in the next one. See ya, and bye-bye.